But this one's pretty pricey, this one.
Are you having fun today?
Yeah, I'm having fun. Are
Yeah.
you having a good time?
One place down.
One
Whole
place
bunch more
down,
to go.
several more to go.
Yep.
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto North Madelia Street.
Actual, real Red Ryder BB gun.
Hello my sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to see you all. I hope this finds y'all well and happy and that you are ready to do some thrift flipping. We're gonna have a good time with these projects today. So Michael and I recently went thrift shopping and we just made a day of it, had a really good time and found some really neat pieces that I can hardly wait to share with y'all. I do feel like a lot of the pieces that we found need a little facelift, just a little sprucing up so that I can implement them into my fall decor. So that is what we are going to spend our time doing today. We are going to hang out in the studio and have a little fun with our thrifty flipping. So let's go see how we can spruce up all of our projects or all of our pieces that Michael and I found. So let's go. This first piece that we are going to work on for me was the find of the day. We found this really cool old cheese box. It's a cheese form where they formed the cheese. I think that's what it was used for, but it's really cool. It's got some of the original company labeling on each of the little drawers, the cheese form drawers or cheese brick drawers. I'm not actually sure what this piece is technically called, but it is going to be so much fun to work on. I think we can take this piece and spruce it up a little bit, bring it back to its original antique-y style. So I'm going to take it out to the shop, see if I can't strip it down, sand it down a little bit, then we'll bring it back into the studio, work on the drawers. I think I just want to paint the drawer pieces and see how those end up looking. So that's what we're going to jump into for our very first project. So y'all, let's go. I am pretty excited to start working on this piece. I think we can really transform this and just give it some new life. The color palette is okay, but I really would like to bring this back to its original color if I can. And the drawers are so cool. I love that all these little drawers still have the original Brookfield cheese labels on them. So we're not going to touch that. Obviously, I'm going to leave that, but I think I will paint the drawer fronts. So let's take this out to the shop and start sanding on it and see what we can find underneath the layers of all this paint. I really like what I am seeing so far. I am particularly liking this lighter color wood, so I hope I can get that same light color to show through after all the sanding is finished. So here it is, all sanded on the top, and I couldn't get some of these dark patchy stained parts to sand off, but I decided that is okay because it does lend a lot to the rustic antique-y feel of this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue sanding away on this and see what kind of results we end up with. Well, after a couple hours of sanding, this is what we've got. There was a lot of places where I just could not get this dark stain off, and I even tried putting a little bit of stain remover. It was not going to come off, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to leave it this way because I do feel like once I get the sealer on it, it's going to just look okay, and it's going to just give us that really nice rustic antique feel that I'm going for. So now I want to go ahead and prepare the drawer fronts for paint. So I'm going to very carefully pop off all these cute little plate. They're like a pull and a title plate all in one. And so I'm going to carefully pop these off because I want to actually reuse these pieces. Getting all of those front plates pop off of each one of them, I did give these just a little bit of sanding. I wasn't trying to sand that color completely off, but I did sand it just a little bit to kind of prepare it for a new coat of paint. So I'm just coming in with some black chalk paint, and I'm going to paint the fronts of each and every one of these drawers. And when I'm going around the sides, I do try to be very careful here because I really don't want to get any of this paint on the sides of these drawers because of that really cool original labeling on there. And I don't want to get black paint on that really cool labeling. I really do think it is so cool that these have that original labeling. Some of the drawers, the labeling was a little bit faded, but then on some of them, like this particular piece, it's so vivid and so bright, like it's practically brand new and never been used. So it's kind of neat. It was just kind of, to me, this was a real true treasure. So I got the first drawer painted, and now I'm just going to move on to getting the rest of them. There are 8 drawers in total, so it did take a little bit of time for me to get these painted, but I enjoy the whole painting process because to me it is very relaxing. So we'll just sit back and finish painting all the drawers. After painting 2 coats of paint on all of the drawer fronts, I am going to, and I did let it dry thoroughly, obviously, and now we'll just come in and go ahead and put some sealer on this. And to seal all of these, I'm just going to use some of this clear wax with a wax brush. I just apply it pretty liberally, let it sit on for a few minutes, and then I come in with a soft cloth and sort of buff it in a little bit, and then wipe away any of the excess wax. I really like the finish on this. I love how it gives chalk paint just that nice silky finish. So I'm going to go ahead and just rinse and repeat here and do that same exact process for all 8 drawers. I just wanted to show y'all really quick the difference. So this one on the right has been sealed with the wax and the one on the left is still unsealed. And you can see how it just really enhances that chalk paint and gives it just that pretty silky finish. So all of the drawers have been sealed. Now I'm going to move on to sealing the actual box itself using that same exact technique and process. Now I'm going to go ahead and get all of these cute little plates put back on to each of these drawers, and because there's 8 of these and each one has 4 nails, it did take just a little bit of time to do this, but again, it was one of those processes that I really just enjoyed. I actually kind of just like every single step of working on a project like this. There's really no step that I like better than the other. They're all fun, they're all different, and they all feel very satisfying after each step. I just get that super satisfied feeling. Oh, I am just loving how this is looking, y'all. After I got the little plates put back on, I had some fingerprints in there, so I just came back in with that same wax cloth that I'd been using and just kind of gave it a little bit of buffing, because that wax sealer really does need about 24 hours to completely cure and set up. This just looks so pretty. I love the silky finish on this. I thought it would be fun to take this to the next step and add some legs to this piece. I just think this is going to be a lot of fun. So I had these hairpin legs out in the shop and thought this is a great piece to put these legs to use on. So I did find these on Amazon. I'm pretty sure I got them on Amazon. So I will try to have them linked in the description box for y'all in case you've got a piece similar to this and you just want to elevate it a little by adding some legs. So I'm going to go ahead and come in and just pre-drill all of my holes here because I don't want to risk splitting this wood. I'm pretty sure this piece is somewhat old and I don't want to split any of the wood. So I pre-drill all of the holes, and each one of these legs does have a slot for 5 screws, but I felt like 5 was a little overkill. So I actually started out doing 5 on each one, and then I'm like, that just feels a little bit much. So I ended up just putting 3 screws in each leg. The legs have been attached, and now I'm excited to see how this looks. So I'm loving it. I'm so excited at this point. I did take that bottom row of drawers out though, just in case when I was pre-drilling, I didn't want to accidentally drill into any of the drawers. So I took those out. So now we'll go ahead and get them put back in. And as I was doing this, I started thinking, I think we need to add something to the top of this box. So I went ahead and made this stencil on my vinyl cutter, and I just created this stencil in Canva. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to create and put on the top of this, I decided to do a little bit of research on Brookfield cheese, but y'all, I couldn't find much. There was not much out there, but I was able to find a little bit of the history and learned that this company was actually founded in 1855 by a 16-year-old. So that was pretty impressive because 16-year-olds today don't do stuff like this. They don't go start companies. Well, some do maybe. Anyway, so I just went ahead and started stenciling this on, and I'm just using a stippling brush to do this. And when I do a stencil like this, I do use an up and down pouncing motion just to prevent any bleed through. And actually this works like a charm. I did 2 coats, let each coat dry thoroughly, did a second coat, and then let that dry pretty close. It was pretty dry by the time I decided to come in and peel this back. And so I do peel back my stencil very, very, very carefully because I don't want to disrupt any wet paint that might still be there. And of course, there's always the weeding process when using vinyl stencils. So that's what I'm doing now, just coming in and doing this whole weeding process. And yeah, this part can sometimes be a little bit tedious, but it does still have its element of satisfaction. I just do get a lot of satisfaction. To me, it's a satisfying process, just like all the other steps in this piece. So after I got the weeding done, I love how the stencil turned out, but I did feel like it was looking just a little too crisp for this antique piece. So I did come in and just gently go over it with some sandpaper. And then I came back over it with some more of the wax sealer to just kind of give the letters that same silky finish. And all in all, I really love how this piece turned out. vase last week, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got a little addicted to the old vintage vase look. I just love the look and the appearance and the style of these old vintage vases that I keep seeing on all these high-end boutique decor stores that are just way out of my budget. So when Michael and I were thrifting, I specifically wanted to see if I could find some just inexpensive vessels that we could flip and make them look old, aged, and found. So that is what we're going to jump into for our second project. We're gonna work on faux antiquing some thrift vases.
I did want to be very intentional with the vessels that I chose as we were thrift shopping, so I didn't go too crazy, but I did find a fun few sets or pieces, and I really liked this cute little set. This set was a good find. I think it was $5, so I didn't feel too guilty about painting these. So to paint glass, one thing that I have learned over the years is that chalk paint, any kind of paint actually, doesn't always adhere very well to glass. So to put my base coat on, I just add a little bit of Mod Podge to my paint. And by adding the Mod Podge, it really gives that extra adhesive strength to help the paint adhere better to the glass. So for all of the pieces that I found today, that's what I'm going to do. I really love this one too. This one's going to be a fun one. I cannot wait. I had a inspiration piece, and when I found this one, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks almost identical to my inspiration piece. But anyway, back to the paint. So I'm going to go ahead and do this glue chalk paint base to all of the vessels that we're going to paint today. So, and I just add maybe not quite a 1-to-1 ratio of glue to paint. I do a little bit less glue than I do the paint when I mix this up, but I don't have an exact scientific measurement for this. So, but I have found that trick really does help. It works really well and really helps that chalk paint or acrylic paint or craft paint, whatever paint you're using, to adhere really well to the glass. So here is this piece completely dry, and I want to do some texture on this piece. So we're going to do a lot of texturing on all of our pieces, but I want to try several different techniques. So for this piece, to give it some texture, I'm going to just use some drywall spackle. I think this is just filler spackle, like repair spackling. And I do get my fingers a little bit damp. You don't want it too wet, but I get them a little bit damp as I'm spreading this on because it kind of helps smooth it out. This is really a thick spackling paste, and so to smooth it out and just make it a little more spreadable, I did damp my fingers a little bit. And then I just kind of haphazardly started putting some texture on this piece. I didn't want to cover the entire piece with texture because I kind of wanted it to have that aged, chippy look. So I just cover bits and pieces of it, and I just had a ton of fun with this whole process. After getting each section of the spackling put down, I did come in with this little stick. This is actually a modeling clay tool. I'm not sure what it's called, and I don't even know why I have it, to be honest, but it came in handy for this particular job here. So I just come back in between each of the layers of spackling and sort of run this little tool across the grooves, because I definitely want those grooves to still have some definition in the spackling, and I didn't want it to look completely smooth there. So I just did that, just kind of ran that little stick through the grooves to kind of help define those little grooves in the spackling. So I did let the spackling set up for about 24 hours, and then I want to go over this with a little bit of sanding just to knock off any of those rough edges and just smooth it out a little bit and help it blend a little bit more into this piece. So I'm just using a 320 piece of sandpaper here on my little finger sander and just go over all the spackling. Now we get to start having fun with these pieces. This is where we're going to start adding paint to really bring these pieces to life and really make them look aged and found. So to start with this bigger piece, I wanted this piece to have like a terracotta base color to it. So it sort of looked like it could have been a terracotta piece at one time that turned really, really old. So I'm going to go ahead and just put on some terracotta paint here. And I am doing this very, very messily. This terracotta paint color is one that I blended myself just by mixing some chocolate brown and a little bit of orange. And I do come on and put this on pretty messily because I don't want to fully coat that. I want some of the black to shine through. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and give it some time for that orange coat to dry, and then we'll move on to this piece. So for the texture on this piece, I'm using the paint and baking soda blend method here. And I did mix my paint and baking soda very, very thick because I wanted this piece to be very heavily textured. So because it is so heavily textured, I couldn't really paint it on. I kind of just had to pat it on almost with my paintbrush. But in the end, it looks so cool. I actually really love how this piece turned out. So another thing that I did after I got this entire vessel covered with the really super thick baking soda paint mixture, I came back in with a clean, damp brush and just used that damp brush to kind of smooth some of that texture down and knock off any of the rough edges. While our other two pieces are setting up, the paint is drying on them, we're going to work on these cute little guys. For these guys, I really wanted these pieces to look like they were actual terracotta. So I'm using that same terracotta blended color. Oh my goodness, words. Can't seem to spit them out. I'm using that same color that I made, the same blend, and except for this piece, I did use the baking soda, but I didn't use a whole lot of baking soda. I put it in very thin because I just wanted these ones to be minimally textured. And then once that orange paint was completely set up on all these little vessels, I come back in with two different colors here, the original terracotta color and then a little bit of a creamier, just a tan creamy color, and mix one side or dip one side of my brush in one color and the other side into the other color, and then just kind of start blending these colors together across this to just give it that worn terracotta look. And I think this turned out beautiful. I think these actually look like they're really terracotta. Michael came in and he said, "Oh, those look fantastic. Where'd you get the terracotta?" And I was like, "Hi, I painted them." So, okay, moving back to this piece, we're now going to just come in and start blending in all of our colors to give this piece that really authentically aged look to it. And to achieve this, I usually start with my darker colors and I go from the dark tones all the way up to the light tones, where the light tones are the ones I apply last. And from here on out, all of these brushing techniques are a dry brush, and I do use a really dry brush and a very light hand and just kind of feather the paint on in a haphazard pattern. I don't have a real true way of doing this. I just kind of haphazardly put all the paint on, and this is what you get, and I do love how that turned out. So we're going to just repeat that exact same process with this vessel. And with this one, I used a lot of colors, lots and lots of colors. I put on some of our terracotta color, and then I came in with a little bit darker brown color, and then I came in with some black. But again, I am working from all of the dark tones first to the lighter tones last. And I do everything with a dry brush and just kind of brush it on. One thing that I did with this particular piece is on the textured parts where we added that spackling, I wanted those texture parts to be the lightest spots on this piece. So I came in with kind of a creamy tan color and went over all of those, and then over the top of that tan color, each layer I do let fully dry, by the way. So you want to let each layer fully dry before you apply the next color. But then on top of that tan color, I came in with kind of an ivory color, and it just really makes those textured pieces really just pop off of this vase. So here's where I'm coming in with my very, very last color. This is the ivory, and I am just very, very gently feathering this color over just the textured parts. I really want the textured parts to pop on this, but I'm very careful to just kind of brush it across the top of the texture, if that makes sense, because I still want all of those low lights to peek through our highlights. Here they are, all finished. I have let them set overnight to give everything 24 hours to fully set and cure. And y'all, I am loving the results. I really love how these terracotta pieces turned out. I think they truly do look like aged terracotta, and we accomplished this entire look with paint. And this piece, this one might be my favorite. I don't know. I can't really pick a favorite because I love them all, but this piece turned out really good too. And I don't know, maybe this one's my favorite. Oh gosh, I don't know. I think this piece turned out absolutely fantastic though. And it truly looks like a very old aged vintage piece. And again, y'all, we accomplished this entire look with paint. I just think that is pretty cool.
Oh my goodness, y'all, that was a ton of fun. I truly had a blast working on these pieces. I love the transformation. We took some thrifted finds and transformed them into some really neat looking pieces that I can hardly wait to style in my fall decor. I tried to decide if I had a favorite. You know, I love them all. Sometimes it is so hard to pick just one favorite because I do in the end love all of the pieces. The cheese box is pretty cool though, so I guess if I had to pick one, that would be my favorite. And I do love the vessels too. I think they turned out really cool. They were a lot of fun to just work on and play with and take a lot of fun creative liberties with them. So I'm happy with how all the pieces turned out. Y'all will have to let me know what you think of how we transformed each of these pieces and if you had a favorite. Alrighty friends, well that is going to wrap up our projects for today. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed working on all of these pieces. I so enjoyed hanging out with y'all. I enjoyed your company, and hopefully this gave you a little inspiration. So if you've got some thrifty finds laying around your house that you weren't sure what to do with, I really hope that somehow it gave you some fun ideas on how you can transform some of your favorite thrifty finds. Alrighty, my dear friends, well, I guess that is it for now. So I will see y'all again next week. I've got another fun project coming your way, so come back, see me again next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.